Good evening, and we're here with another edition of Your Voice with the NRP. Regret that we are 10 minutes late, but we've come off a very hectic NRP weekend. The NRP held a number of activities, including a gala and also a cocktail, all in one, and also honored 5 of its stalwarts. In the meantime, it's Monday, October 31st, which means that we're at the end of October, and tomorrow is November 1st. And as the clock ticks, the CCM is jumping around like a cat on a hot tin roof. Brantley tells his New York core group, we're running out of time. Get ready. Elections could be as early as the Thanksgiving weekend. We have a lot to discuss. Your calls, of course, included. Our special guest this evening is Deputy Leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, the Honorable Cleone Stapleton Simmons. We'll take our first break, and then we'll be back. I believe it's going to be a hot evening in the studio. Make sure to join us, 469-1616, 469-1700.
But the economy is broken, the government stick, and the opposition come and take a seat. The debt is high and employment's low, and it's the poor people who taking the blow. I say we tired, we need a revolution. We just can't depend on vaccination. I say we tired, time to pick myself off the floor. Just remember people matter more. So when you hear them talking bull on the radio, people used to matter more. Whether you red, blue, orange or yellow, people used to matter more. But when they needed us for last election, we were always the first option. But now they in and they comfortable. People don't matter no more. Boy, some people may not like this, but people used to matter more. CCM them made a slogan out of it. People used to matter more.
And we're back. NRP is people focused, has always been. And during the month of October, the Grand Old Party turned 52, culminated a month-long activities with activities on the weekend, a cocktail and reception and gala at the Occasions Entertainment Center. And then on Saturday, of course, there was a fun day at the Villa, and the young NRP people were on the road as well. Cleone will give us a rundown. Good evening, Cleone. It's been a while.
Good evening, Steve, and it's a pleasure for me to be in studio with you this evening. Of course, it's been a while, so I'm quite happy to be here on Your Voice with the NRP. Yes, the Nevis Reformation Party celebrated its 52nd anniversary over the weekend, and we had at least 2 activities, one being a cocktail reception that was held at the Occasions. And so that one, it was a award ceremony as well as a cocktail, and we were able to honor at least 5 persons from each constituency, and these are persons who we will say that they have contributed significantly to the Nevis Reformation Party over the years. And so it was indeed very exciting to honor these persons with what was coined as the Founders Award. And so I think it's a first in the making, and so it was just basically to show our appreciation and gratitude to persons who continue to support the Nevis Reformation Party over the years. They are with us through thick, through thin, and it was, a very, very historic and memorable occasion, I would say, Steve.
It was really memorable. In fact, 5 persons were honored,
yes.
1 per constituency, not
yes.
5. A little slip there. St. Paul's, Floris Finley.
Yes.
St. John's, Eric Stapleton. St. George's, Miguel Mills. St. James's, Trevor Carbu Cornelius.
Yes.
And in your constituency, constituency number 5, Madam Ermin Farrell.
Yes, also known as Even Farrell.
Even Farrell. Tell us a little bit about Even and her involvement with the NRP and in your constituency in particular.
Yes, well, Even Farrell, I call her Gotti Even, and she has been a supporter of the Nevis Reformation Party for at least 50 years. That's almost for
You sure she's 50?
That's almost for the lifespan of the party. And so she has been a very avid supporter, dedicated. She's a person, whatever NRP is having, once NRP is there, you can look forward to 2 persons being there, and that would be Gotti Even Farrell, and Judy Cornelius. And so I remember one time one of my colleague commented, I think it was Mr. Patrice Lisbeth, who said he remembered the days when, when he first started as a politician and attended meetings, and sometimes he said that they would go to Brooklyn, and nobody will show up, or the attendance will be very scant, but you can rest assured that Gotti Even will be there, and she will be the biggest cheerleader, and once she's there cheering and shouting, you will think that there is a packed crowd. And I just find that to be very humorous, but that is the type of support that she gives to the Nevis Reformation Party. She is very dedicated, even in the constituency, at the constituency level. She is part of the St. Thomas's constituency branch. She is a member of the women's arm, and she gives her support, she gives her time, she volunteers, and so that level of commitment and dedication, it is something that we definitely have to appreciate. It is something that we have to acknowledge and indeed honor. So I'm quite pleased and indeed very grateful that we were able to do so last week Friday.
And Even does not come alone at all activities, or most activities. She brings along her twins.
Yes.
Of course, we lost one of them earlier this year, but the other one, very much in attendance.
Very much in attendance, and that's Tamara Farrell. And just like her mother, the entire family is very, very dedicated and committed to NRP. Of course, there would be no NRP without the Farrells, and so we are quite happy for them. We do appreciate them. I mean, everyone perhaps know Mr. Ashley Farrell, and so in St. Thomas's, they are a fixture when it comes to the Nevis Reformation Party, and these are the type of persons, the type of people who we look at, despite the performance during elections. They continue to stay committed and dedicated, and through their acts, through their commitment, they do sincerely encourage and motivate young persons like myself. So we are happy, we are appreciative. We have a number of supporters, dedicated, committed supporters there in St. Thomas's, who really continue to keep the torch lighted. And so I'm just very happy that we have that level of support and commitment in that constituency, because of course, Steve, it is always our intention to ensure that St. Thomas's stays green. So I hear a lot of people talking and saying all kind of things and putting up things on Facebook, but rest assured, the St. Thomas's parish, the St. Thomas's constituency, it is a green constituency. It has been loyal to the Nevis Reformation Party over the years, and I see no reason, absolutely no reason, especially in these hard times when the CCM-led administration is not performing. I see no reason for the St. Thomas's constituency to make any changes at this time. Absolutely no reason. So we are fully committed there to the Nevis Reformation Party. I appreciate the support. I thank the support from all of the constituents, and I am very pleased and proud to represent them.
Well, of course, we know that the leader of the CCM, Mark Brantley, has said constantly over the last 5 years that he intends to make Nevis the greenest country on planet Earth. And that must be the aim of everyone. I'm trying to jog my memory for a which is very popular in political law on Nevis, and made by Nevis's greatest political orator, Victor J. Martin.
Yes.
I saw somebody post it on Facebook this morning, but I'm missing the ending. It said, a soldier is a soldier because I can't remember the end of it. So I'm sure a caller will call and tell us how that ends. But he was highlighting the point that in politics, foot soldiers are key to the struggle and the battle. So Evan was one of 5, and I'm sure that the other 4 are very happy that they were honored by their constituency. And feel free to give us a call and express your thanks to the executive of the Nevis Reformation Party. And of course, we also had words at that ceremony from the party leader.
Yes.
And also the chairman of the party.
Indeed.
Hensley Daniel.
Yes.
And after that, Saturday was for the children.
Yes. Saturday, we had a fun day, so to speak, at the Villa grounds, and that really was an activity that was put on by the youth for the children. We were pleased with the turnout. Could have had a little bit more, but I think persons perhaps were so tired from the event on Friday, which was very well attended. Everyone had a fabulous time. So I thought to myself, Steve, after all that dancing and merriment, perhaps persons, would have been too tired to come out on the Saturday. But nevertheless, the children came out, they turned up, persons came, they supported the party, and so we had a good time. We had a very, very good weekend, and I say, congratulations to the entire team, congratulations to the party leader, to all of the candidates, to the chairman, the entire Nevis Reformation Party executive, and of course all of our supporters.
Now, I was very impressed by the youth arm. The ladies and gents who were serving on that evening, all very nattily dressed, very polite, and making sure the patrons were taken care of. And then, I think yesterday or today, I saw that they made a visit to the flamboyant home, because of course it has been the month of the elderly.
Yes.
And to show their appreciation to our seniors, they went there, they combed hair, they looked after nails, they cleaned. And Sonelda Willett, chairperson of the youth arm, you never phone, give us a call. We always crave youth involvement. The youth is the present and the future, and it was very impressive to see the youth arm in action over the weekend. Talk a little bit about their involvement as well and the activity they had.
Yes, so congratulations to the youth arm of the Nevis Reformation Party, led by President Miss Sonelda Willett. And, she has a very dedicated team. I must say, Steve, I'm very, very impressed with these young people.
Very.
Because they are the backbone of the Nevis Reformation Party. To see them perform, to see them organize themselves, and really be able to not only host, but organize events. We definitely are very proud of them. And so, as you indicated, we are celebrating during the month of October, Elderly Month, and so the youth had this initiative where they went to the flamboyant home, they presented gifts, and they just spent some time with the elderly, because we want everyone to know that we do appreciate everyone in our community. We appreciate the contribution of our elderly folks, and we're happy to celebrate them, because their contribution, not only from a party level, but at a country level, to their families, to the entire island, their respective jobs that they held. Sometimes when people get older, we tend to forget them, and we don't remember their contribution, and sometimes the young folks see them as only being at that stage, and perhaps forgetting that they were once young and they contributed in significant ways. And I love, because I was raised by my grandmother, I love to be in the company of the elderly. I mean, you learn so much from them. There is so much wisdom to impart, and I really do appreciate that, because that is how you learn. You know, they help you to put certain things into perspective, especially our historical journey. When we look at where we are coming from, and where we are today, and perhaps where we intend to go for the future, we have to really salute those soldiers, those persons who really paved the way and did so with pride and enthusiasm, and they were able to pave the way for us. So we can never, Steve, take for granted. We must always show appreciation to our elderly persons in society.
Now, we're in a political space where last week the focus was on the federal side of things. There was the opening of Parliament in St. Kitts, the throne speech and all of that.
Yes.
One of the features was, of course, women. Women featured very heavily. On the government side, of course, you've got Henderson, elected, nominated Clark and Phillip. The Governor General's deputy did the throne speech, Her Excellency Marcella A. Liebert.
Yes.
The Speaker, Lenine Blanchett, and the Deputy Speaker, both women, of course, Latoya Jones, the person you will come up against in the next election, local.
Hopefully, I'm certainly looking forward to that.
What do you make of the event and the way in which women featured in that?
I thought it was excellent to finally see women being able to participate in Parliament. When you look at the ratio of women to men, you know, it's historic, and I felt very proud to see that we have come so far, and within such short space of time too, because it's only within a very short almost less than a decade where we have seen that influx of women being able to participate actively in politics and to become parliamentarians in their respective rights and roles. And so we certainly appreciate that. It is something that is commendable, and I'm quite happy to see women really, you know, being able to be the focal point of leadership in this country. It's quite funny because, interestingly enough, whilst conversing earlier today, someone said to me that, you know, wherever you have women in leadership positions, you're going to have progressive performance. And I thought that was interesting, very, very much. And, you know, but then they went on to say, how do I myself as a leader strike the balance within my home, you know, because sometimes women, once they have power, they can be, you know, the dominant figure in the family. And so I said, you know, my family is well balanced simply because I do believe that, you know, the man is the head of the household, and once you understand that, then you are definitely able to have that balance. And it is important once people understand their role. So in my family, my husband has a role to play, I have a role to play, and we both understand the respective roles, and so there aren't really any issues. Now, people may look and they may say, well, you know, and it's something that people always look at, oh, who's wearing the pants? Well, physically he's always wearing pants because I have never seen him in a skirt. So, you know, Steve, those are the things that you look at. But I think it's very important to have gender equality in a society, and to have balance, and to really push women forward, because women can make significant contribution. We make contributions in the workplace, we make contributions in our families, and so it's very important to be able to have that environment in your country where you can give women that space where they can accelerate and they can be great and they can become heroes. So I'm very grateful for that. It was indeed a pleasure. Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams sat next to me.
So you're having a chat there.
Yes, we were indeed having a chat, and one of the things that she whispered in my ears, is that, Cleon, I started this was my mission. And I think in that moment and in that space, and perhaps upon reflection, that was something that she was very, very proud of, because she indeed would have paved the way for people like myself and other young parliamentarians who are females. And so I think she deserves a round of applause. We should acknowledge her contribution, the efforts that she has made being a junior minister in gender. And she has always, since I have known her, advocated for women empowerment and for women to be at the forefront of certain things in our society. And so kudos to Hazel, I must say, and I wish to thank her publicly for the contribution that she has made in pushing women forward.
Now, yes, let me join you. She's been doing this for well over a decade, and her work has not only been on Nevis, but throughout the Caribbean region and indeed the world, and she deserves a lot of commendation. Now, one of the women, of course, is Nevis, and I heard the Premier say a few months ago that he likes when a plan come together in reference to the nominated member and deputy speaker. Well, he likes when it comes together, but I saw the play from day one. When that individual was brought to us as a community advisor. The NRP wondered, why is it that you need a community advisor just for one constituency in St. Thomas's? This, I believe, the Premier sees as a final plank, because they've been mindful not to launch that candidate too early, because everybody will see. I saw the play from day one. But he will feel that with her elevation to the federal parliament, with election weeks away, that is the final posturing that he needs for the person who will be launched against you.
Well, perhaps, and I must say congratulations to young Latoya Jones. She hails from the parish of St. Thomas's, and so I'm quite happy to see her be elevated in that way. Of course, there's no doubt. I'm not sure. Perhaps there's a political motive. I'm not certain if it would have any impact in St. Thomas's, because of course St. Thomas's 2 years ago elected the parliamentary representative, and so I see no reason why that would not happen again. I believe that the people of St. Thomas's, they understand hard work, they understand commitment, they understand what it is to make sacrifice and to really work your way up. There are some persons in life who get lucky and they are chosen or somewhat selected for certain things, not to really throw shades on anybody, but it is what it is. And some of us, we go out there and we work, we take our time, we invest, we learn, we sometimes fall down, we stand up, and we give it our best shot. And I always believe in value. I believe in value, in commitment. Not to say that persons should not be given opportunities, but I do believe that you have to work hard for your opportunities. You sacrifice, you do what you have to do, you stay committed, especially for women. One of the things that I perhaps admire about women, and it has always been something that I have perhaps practiced in my life, because it's not easy being a woman in politics. I said to one of my friends the other day that one of the most challenging things for me is being able to seek contributions or to seek assistance from men. You know, because I'm certainly not accustomed to that, and so it takes some balancing. It takes some getting accustomed to where you have to perhaps go out there and, you know, ask the opposite sex to assist you in any way, whether financially or otherwise, for your campaign or any other initiative that you may have. And so, you know, just for a woman, sorry, making, you know, their rounds as a politician, canvassing, being in bars, talking to people, it is indeed a unique experience. And so, you know, it is something that really requires us to get accustomed to that. Sometimes I know people say that politics is a male dominated world, or it's a man's world for a reason, and I can see sometimes why, you know, people may make that particular assumption, because it's easier for men to go and to be at bars and to meet and greet people and to have a beer, to, you know, for a woman it can be a little bit awkward sometimes. But nevertheless, it is a role, it is a technique that you use, and I believe that, you know, once you have a sense of purpose, once you're committed, once you're dedicated, once people can see that you genuinely care, I think people would give you that opportunity, people would invest in you. And so I'm quite happy. I feel very confident that the people of St. Thomas's will continue to invest in me, because, you know, they see my work, they know I'm not being pushed by any party, by anyone. I do not have the advantage of having the public purse at my disposal. I am not in any way directly influenced or infiltrated by any by the premier, anybody in the administration. So I go out there, I work, I listen to people, I understand, I rely on my past experiences and, you know, the knowledge that I have gained over the years, just operating in different sectors. I'm quite happy that I was able to take my time, even though at that time it didn't feel like, you know, it was the right thing. I am quite happy for every single stage of my life, for every single opportunity, for every single sacrifice, for every single experience, whether it was bad or good, because I believe that it has helped to shape me into the person that I am today. It has helped to shape and mold me into the type of leader that I would love to become. And, you know, I do so with a sense of pride, with a sense of dignity, and with a sense of independence. So when I come to the people of St. Thomas's and the people of Nevis generally, my ambition, my goals, my commitment, my work, it is genuine.
I think we've got our first caller of the evening. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Good evening, Mr. Manners.
Hi, good evening.
And good evening, the Honorable Peon.
Good evening.
Mr. Manners, I hope you have that clip queue up. That famous clip when a certain individual on the night show and in the House of Assembly, Nevis, said, talk about lipstick and mascara and skirt. To be a little woman here in Nevis, in the Federation and in the world at large. So I wanted to play that clip, Mr. Manners, because of the amount of things went on in the House and the amount of ladies now in the House of Assembly, in Sinkis and Parliament. I don't think it's so much about mascara and lipstick and skirt. So please, if you can find that clip, play that clip for me. Thank you.
Very appropriate clip. I don't know if we can put our finger in it at the moment. But very important point. Another member, the Deputy Speaker, referred to NRP's party leaders and nobody. But now we find that the leadership of the CCM and the government have got a newfound love for ladies.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that the caller would have mentioned that, because, you know, I found at that time when that statement was made, it was very demeaning. Demeaning. It was an insult or a slap in the face to women, and then now here you are presenting a woman as the next best thing since sliced bread. But nevertheless, just to say that at the end of the day, this is why I speak about representation being wholeheartedly genuine, because people would always push political agendas, and sometimes if you find the right person to push that particular agenda, then that's what you're going to do. But at the end of the day, it is time for our people to really understand that we have to look at what is genuine, who is genuine, okay, who is committed, who is dedicated, who really have concretize their experience. And I think I want to talk about experience tonight, Steve, because I think it is important. One of my very good friends, Mr. Hector, used to say to me that when the student is ready, their master would appear. And at that time I perhaps did not fully understand what that particular phrase or saying meant, but in every aspect of my life, you can see growth, you can see experience. Sometimes you're put into a particular position and it may not necessarily be the most favorable position. Sometimes you're wanting an opportunity and it's not given to you at that time, and it's really, sometimes you're not really prepared for it, and so you need that gap. It's a journey. Life is a journey, and sometimes you need to take a step back. Sometimes God is preparing you for something bigger, something that He knows that you perhaps not prepared to handle at that particular time. And so I'm quite happy that throughout my life I was able to take things slowly, to be able to go at my own pace, and to be presented with opportunities that help me to grow, to learn, and to experience. There are many times that I would have failed, and in sometimes even when you fail, you are able to reassess, self-evaluate, and then you're able to come back stronger. And so this is what I want people to understand when you're looking at leadership. Look at the sacrifices that people have made. Look at the preparation of the person over the years, because a lot of times people are being pushed into things that they are not necessarily ready and they're not necessarily prepared for, and then sometimes you have chaos. And so that is what I want people to take from, if nothing else, from me this evening, that I believe that when people are truly ready for certain things, that they will evolve into their own selves, and you will see them grow, you would see that development, and then it's something to go, wow. I'm very impressed.
Now, I am really happy at what I'm seeing evolving in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, led, of course, by the Nevis Reformation Party.
Of course.
And everybody is now following. Women power was on full display. That speaker, Lanine Blanchett,
Yes.
She exuded so much confidence. It's as if she's been sitting in the speaker's chair
Yes.
for a decade.
For a very long time.
And then the young lady, is it Stapleton? I may have missed her name.
Yes.
Who sits in front of her.
Yes, the clerk.
Obviously young, talented, very well spoken. And of course, all the women acquitted themselves very, very well. I don't know if I missed something because I didn't watch all of the way through, but I haven't heard anybody talk about the presentation made by LaToya. And if indeed she didn't get her feet wet and didn't make a debut performance there, I mean, even tiny Miss Phillip, she made in her own way her maiden presentation. I hope I'm wrong that LaToya didn't sit there all day without us hearing her voice. Am I mistaken?
Well, I honestly cannot help you with that, Steve, because unfortunately I was not able to watch the entire sitting, but I really have not heard any buzz, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, the throne speech.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear anything from it which jumped out at you? Maybe about women folk and maybe about Nevis.
There were so many things. You know, I was very proud by the plan that was laid on the table in Parliament, the plan for St. Kitts and Nevis. It is something I believe that is revolutionary. It is futuristic, and it gave the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis a sense of hope. Okay, because here it is, you have a new government that is laying out their plans through the deputy governor general in the throne speech. And if I was a foreigner, an outsider, I would have been so jealous of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I'm very proud that I am a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that everything that was laid out and initiated would benefit me as well as the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in some meaningful way. So we talk. There was an agenda specific towards solar energy, and the focus was on energy, making energy greener, cheaper, reducing it. We had youth empowerment. Youth played a significant part of the plan, not only from the policies that have already been established and initiated. For example, Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College tertiary education is now free for all students, and these are things that are, you know, revolutionary. These are things that would move the country forward. When you look at the investment that the federal government is willing to take in youth and young people, and the fact that they're able to give not only free education but support and assistance to help persons who are definitely in need. When I look at that particular agenda item, I said I was very, very, very impressed. When I look at the focus in terms of diversifying the economy, for too long, I believe, you know, we have been at a standstill where the economy was mostly driven by tourism. And we now know that this government has a different agenda. And, you know, a lot of emphasis was placed on the CBI proceeds in the past. We had an entire election, federal election, recently based on the whole issue of fair share. And so to see a government now come with a plan, an agenda where the focus really is on economic diversification, and we are talking about the orange economy and the green economy, and we are talking about, you know, taking the strain off of the CBI and having a more holistic approach towards building your economy, where you can have different streams of revenue. I think that was very, very important, Steve. And, you know, sitting there, I was thinking, well, why can't Nevis come with, you know, with something? And I am wise enough to know that we cannot expect that from this present administration, because I do believe, and I sincerely believe this, that they have peaked. And so there is nothing more in terms of significant growth and development that we in Nevis can expect from the CCM administration. It's just not there. It has not been there for a decade. So chances of it coming now within the next term, I think, is very slim. And we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to make that assessment. And so that is why the country now is very ripe for a change, because you need a different set of eyes. You need different people. You need different motivation. People. We have a caller?
Yes, we've got a caller, and we'll oblige. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Good evening, Steve.
Hi, good evening.
Mr. Manas, good evening. Good evening, Honorable Cleo Clayton.
Good evening.
We had a date and you stood me off. But anyway.
Oh, I did, Tessa, and I do apologize. Please forgive me.
We'll be talking soon. I'm listening to you guys, and I'm thinking the world has changed. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. It's actually frightening. The world has changed, and so has the Federation. We're changing along with it, and women have now taken a significant role in leadership. When I looked at the Parliament the other day, and I saw how many women were there actively playing a role. When I listened to the Nevis Island Assembly, and I listened to Honorable Cleon Stapleton, the whole mantra of what leadership is all about is coming through. And I don't know, I'm hoping that somebody is paying close attention to this. Our schools, our high schools, our children who are on the verge of leaving high schools, a large percentage of them are young women. And they are watching. A lot of times we don't think they are, but they're watching and they're listening. And so it's important right now that we set the pace. We set the pace to make sure that we're bringing people on board with you as you go along. I want to say this, that with no water in my mouth, I feel the Nevis Reformation Party has always been a party that has shown leadership to the very highest level. Now you've taken it one step even higher by seeing a team with four women?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
4 women and 1 gentleman. And you are about to step into, and I'm speaking it into existence, you are about to step into the leadership of this country to bring it back to where it used to be, and while you're moving forward. And I'm to wish you guys the best. This is a very pivotal time in our lives, in the community, in our country. We have not seen our ministers of government or prime minister take on a role, even in such a short period of time, of making themselves heard, seen across the world. Look at, they showed up at the UN the other day. I'm looking forward to seeing a Nevisian woman make that speech at the UN one day.
Indeed.
This is now the foundation that is being laid. And one of the things I noticed as I watched the St. Nevis Labour Party in their campaign, they were very methodical in how they campaigned, and they set their foundations and laid their bricks one by one by one. It's now continuing, and I am to encourage Honorable Cleon and the Nevis Reformation Party to take a page from their book and to move forward, owning what is coming. We can no longer carry on in Nevis with this half-stepping. We can't. We need to make this move, and I am to hope that the people, we're very quiet, but I'm to hope that people are quietly watching and making their decisions quietly to make that change that is necessary. I'm wishing you all the best. Honorable Cleon, you will be traveling to Taiwan.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Even not being the premier of this country yet, that's a big step for you. Not only as the representative of the Nevis Reformation Party, but also being a woman. Now, this this is all very interesting because you have been afforded this opportunity even while not on the leading side of the Nevis Island Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Indeed.
That's a huge deal, and I want to thank the Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Drew, in making that decision to give the opportunity to even one from the opposition in Nevis to go along on that trip and to be exposed and to learn, because very soon you are going to be taking you and your team maybe sitting face to face with those people from Taiwan to make decisions on behalf of Nevis.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, caller.
Wishing you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Dr. Jew has definitely been revolutionary and futuristic with that move. You're looking forward to it?
I am, indeed. Initially, when the announcement was made, or even before that, when I got the call, I was a bit surprised, to say the very least, if I am to be honest. But, you know, I understood what it meant for St. Kitts and Nevis to be able to have that inclusiveness, and that is what it is. And so sometimes when we look at our political space, we see party and segregation. And what the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, did is, you know, perhaps to take the country and the expectation of the country outside of the box a bit, and to let people know that at the end of the day, we are all citizens of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we are all working towards a common goal. And even though we may represent different interests and different party, at the end of the day, we are representing St. Kitts and Nevis together as one, as a united force. And I thought that was indeed revolutionary.
Pretty neat. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, will be local politics. Nevis.
Yes.
But the economy is broken, the government stick, and the opposition come and take a seat. The debt is high and employment's low, and it's the poor people who taking the blow. I say we tired, we need a revolution. We just can't depend on vaccination. I say we tired, time to pick myself off the floor. Just remember, people matter more. So when you hear them talking bull on the radio, people used to matter more. Whether you red, blue, orange or yellow, people used to matter more. But when they needed us for last election, we were always the first option. But now they in and they comfortable, people don't matter no more. Why? Some people may not like this, but people used to matter more. RCCM, they made a slogan out of it. People used to matter more.
And we're back. We've got 31 minutes to take us to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. Now, I've been on record as saying many times on this show that 2022 will be lost to Nevis. The Premier has been telegraphing for months that part of his campaign will be that he lost 2 years because of COVID. And COVID did happen. But one would think that a wise leader would buckle down and try to pick up the pieces, re-energize the country. But to compound matters, he threw away 2022. When January came in, he started throwing barbs across the Narrows. That culminated on August 5th with the Nevis representatives losing their positions at the federal level. And then he had to swing very quickly into a local election because we've got a mere 6 months to March of next year. And in my opening remarks, I said that the CCM is jumping up and down like a cat on a hot tin roof. So last week, it was St. Thomas, Tortola, St. Croix. This weekend, it was New York. Canada is in the works. St. Martin is in the works. And so there's been little time for governance of the island in 2022. And of course, there was COVID. We're going to face an election very soon. The Premier is looking for an opening. He's admitting that time is running out. And his new project is to try and squeeze it in on the Thanksgiving holiday, which is the only remaining holiday on the American calendar, I think, outside of Christmas. I find it very alarming that for a gentleman who, as part of unity, said that we should have fixed date elections, that he's got everybody in a guessing game. And thinking that he will use that to his advantage and catch the NRP with its pants down. Your thoughts on what we see unfolding before us?
Certainly, Steve, we in Nevis anticipate a local election. One is actually due. And so we have been working towards that. I mean, the NRP has not stopped working. We are mindful that the elections in Nevis are not fixed. And so, you know, we don't know the date, but because we are mindful that it is almost the end of the term, the preparation doesn't stop. And so it would have been beneficial to know the date, but nevertheless, you know, that is just a political ploy where persons just play with the law, play with the process, play with the system. But to me, it speaks about lack of confidence in one's own performance, and only people who have not worked really, you know, tend to play with elections like that. And if we were to look at what took place with the federal elections, and you know, everyone was waiting for the announcement of the date for the election, it's quite interesting because normally throughout the Caribbean region, once you have once Parliament has been dissolved, then automatically you would have the announcement of the date for the election, just so that everyone can be prepared, and you expect that and you start working towards that. And so in the federal elections, we saw that there was no announcement. Parliament was dissolved, but you had to wait 3 more months or so, 90 days for a date to be announced. And we all saw what was the resultant of that. And so that is why I say that once you are confident in your performance, once you know you have done your work, you have moved the country forward, you have brought development to the country, you have nothing to wait for. And so, you know, you don't have to ambush anybody. You can say proudly that, listen, elections will be held on this particular date, and I am confident that my government would be returned to office because we have worked. So once you see people looking to ambush and they don't want to call the date and they want to play around, that simply is an indicator that they are not ready. They have not performed. They themselves do not even have confidence in themselves. And this is the thing that I want people to look at and to evaluate and to assess. And so you're playing a game. It's almost like cat and mouse. And so, you know, because you have not really done anything, you can't come to the people. I'm quite interested in knowing, you know, what is really being said to the people overseas.
Well, I listened on the weekend. Yes. I'll tell you. Go ahead, but I'll tell you about some of it.
Yeah, because when you look at the talk and the action they are not sinking. You have a lot of talk and chat and bantering and yada yada, but what you do not have is performance. Every single person in Nevis is feeling the squeeze from this administration, the incompetence, the lack of performance, the hardship that the country is really facing now, the fact that this government is unable to balance the books, unable to perform, stifling, crippling the economy, killing poor people. I don't think life can get any harder in Nevis than what it is now. In my conversing today, I met someone and he said, Cleon, you may not see physical tears, but trust me, a lot of people are crying in secret. People are hungry. People are really feeling the pressure. This government is not doing anything for anybody. And I had older people telling me that, and they're very young. A young man told me that today. This government does not care about anybody other than themselves. And we see that particular agenda being pushed, where once you support the government and you're a supporter and you're willing to be a puppet, so to speak, then you're given everything is laid out for you. But what about the ordinary people who are just trying to make a living? What about the children? What about the young people? What is the agenda for the young people? There is none. And so NRP is now coming and bringing a difference, where we are saying we are compassionate. We care about people. We understand the need. We understand the economic situation. And we do believe that there is better out there. There is room for improvement. And we can bring that improvement. The country is thirsty for the type of leadership that would push Nevis forward, and we are not getting that. And so I am here to tell the people of Nevis that NRP has the water. So if it is that you are thirsty, we have the water. We have the water that is needed is in really to quench persons' thirst. We have the formula. We understand that in order for this country to develop and develop in a significant and a meaningful way that goes beyond infrastructural development, we are now talking about people empowerment, putting policies and plans in place, programs to help people. We're talking about economic diversification. We are looking at how can we make life more comfortable for Nevisians and residents alike. These are big agenda items. Mr. Manners, I can tell you that recently I met with both the Prime Minister as well as the Honorable Premier of Nevis. And the purpose of the meeting really was to present some ideas to drive the economy and rejuvenate the economy. And one of the things that I suggested, that we have to look at the stamp duty. The stamp duty at present, it is a whopping 10% of the value of the transaction or the estate. Okay, so if it is land and you are selling land for $50,000, then automatically 10% of that $5,000 goes to the government. We're saying that that is perhaps too high. Not perhaps, it is too high. And in order for us to have that stimulus and that relief in the economy, to drive the economy, we have to consider reducing the stamp duty, because what you want is more activity in the property market and the real estate market. Presently, the government is the major provider of housing in Nevis, and that is an indicator that the economy is not growing. And you don't necessarily want to have that burden be placed on the government to have to provide housing for the entire population of Nevis. You have to be able to have that balance where the private sector can get involved and they can invest in the property market and in real estate. And so we have not seen that. A matter of fact, we have seen a significant decline in private investor building homes for persons, simply because it's just it's not feasible. Okay, when you look at the stamp duty, when you look at the cost of financing projects in real estate, it is very, very costly, and so it's not lucrative, it's no longer attractive to private investors, and so the government now has that burden. And when you look at the from inception, why the Housing and Land Department was established in the first place, it was really to provide housing for those persons in the lower income bracket who otherwise perhaps would not have been able to afford a home, but for government assistance. Now that is no longer the objective. The objective now, you have government providing housing for every single income bracket, even the higher levels, and we're saying that that really doesn't make sense. Okay, because whilst the government may feel that they might be gaining, and there's such as the little that they are gaining, at the end of the day, you're causing significant inflation in the country. And it is something that it has to be looked at holistically, and so that was the purpose of having those meetings, to get the government to look at what is taking place in the country, because we all know once you have a boom in property and real estate and construction, then that creates that momentum and that drive in the economy that you need in order to influence other sectors, and that is really what we ought to be looking at. And so, in my discussion and presenting the ideas, what I can say to you is that the Prime Minister was enthusiastic. He did make that commitment that he would have his team look into it to see whether, if it is that the stamp duty is reduced, which is a federal initiative, if that is more than likely to cause that stimulus will cause some activity, some momentum in the property market. I believe that it will, but he has to seek advice from his economic task force that he has recently implemented. And so this is what we're talking about when we talk about development and bringing sustainable growth. You have to look at your entire economic model and see what is working, make that assessment, that evaluation, what is working and what is not working for you, and create some sort of stimulus in that particular policy or that particular agenda item. Now, one of the things that the Honorable Premier said, and I believe I can quote him, he said that in last year and even through the early parts of this year, when they introduced the waiver for the alien holding land license, that they saw significant activity in the property market. And he has said it at his press conference and on many other forums. And so, I said to him, well, okay, if you use that approach where you had a waiver at one point and then you reduce the alien holding land license fee from 10% to 5%, well, just think about what activity and what buzz you can create if you were to do the same thing with the stamp duty. The two goes hand in hand. And so this is why I'm saying the time has come for us to focus on all people, all classes, all aspects. We can no longer be pushing a foreign agenda and then have our local people suffer. It doesn't make sense. There needs to be a balancing act. So you have to be for all classes of people. If it is that you can create that stimulus for foreigners to invest in property, in the property market in Nevis, then you can create that same stimulus for local people as well. And so this is why we need a government that is comprehensive and one that is all inclusive for all the people of Nevis, not just a selected few. Okay, and for me, this present administration have created policies based on their politics, based on where they can get votes. Okay, and some may say, okay, we can see it, perhaps it is smart, it is a way to win the election, but at the same time you have to be able to make a logical analysis of the impact on the economy, because those approaches, those decisions, they are causing significant inflation in the economy. And so there must be a balance, and I want people to really understand this, because it is very, very important that governance be comprehensive. It has to be comprehensive. It cannot be for one set of people benefiting, and then you continue to recycle the benefit for one particular group while the other out here suffering. It doesn't make sense. And this is what CCM has brought to the table, and we in the NRP, we are saying, listen, enough is enough. We do not believe in that model. We do not think that it is working. It has certainly proven that it is not working in Nevis, because look at the state of our economy. And so we now have presented a comprehensive plan where we are saying our policies are all inclusive. We want to ensure that we have a holistic approach to governance and to really bringing forth meaningful development in this country.
Now, I listened the town hall meeting in New York, and I was shocked beyond belief. First, that they took the rah-rah campaign to New York City. Number two, well, we weren't surprised that we got more of the same, the blame game. Everything was NRP, Pat Bartlett, etc. Whereas the Premier said that he's going to run on his record. Now, if I'm a Nevisian living in the diaspora, and my Premier comes to report on his stewardship, I expect him to be telling me about developmental plans. If I'm tired of the cold and want to relocate to Nevis, I didn't hear any of that. It was much of the same. Now, this election upcoming reminds me very much of the 1992 presidential election, when Bill Clinton got elected and George Herbert Walker Bush lost, even though he had a 90% rating just months before the election, having won the war in Kuwait. And what happened is that James Carville, an advisor to Bill Clinton, said pointedly, "It's the economy, stupid." That is what he said. I heard a questioner ask of the Premier in New York, what are the three things, the three main issues in this campaign? And I couldn't believe my eyes or ears. Let me say here and now, it's the economy, stupid. You have said that. It is how we take it up from COVID, from a depressed economy, and move things forward to make things better for all of us. And we're not hearing any of that at all. That is one of the reasons why they're trying to squeeze the election in before budget. They did it in 2017, and the Premier wants to do it again. He is deathly afraid of coming to the Nevisian people and tell us how close we are or whether we are over the fiscal cliff. Because all we've been doing is borrowing, and there's no generation of new money in the economy.
Yes.
So it's the economy, stupid. What are you going to do to fix this, to make life better for the people of Nevis, the citizens and the residents? That's a key question. And of course, in 1992, there are some sub-issues. Healthcare.
Yes.
Or hospital. What state is that in? When will you complete it? I think there should be open tours so we know that what's going on there. We've got a caller, so we'll get back to the economy, stupid. Welcome, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Mr. Manners,
Hi.
I walked away with the same impression you did. But I'm wondering, what did you think that you were going to hear?
More of the same.
To open a whole can of worms that I don't think they want opened to go down that path. Those are questions that they don't want to answer. And so you're not going to hear that. And I had to remind myself of that as I listened to it. It was one of the most lackluster presentations I've seen from them, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the 2 weekends back to back were a little bit much. Maybe they were tired, but it didn't come across well at all. But the reality is, there's nothing to talk about with the economy. You're then going to leave a whole lot of long line of questions behind that you don't want to answer. So I'm not surprised that they went down that road and they did not touch that. Thanks for letting me back in.
Thank you. It was all about booking up the flight for Thanksgiving weekend or sometime in December. You know, talking about things that would drive our economy. I keep thinking all the time how on the Let's Talk program in April, there was a gentleman here, Simon Lau, who talked about a project he had for Indian Castle, 396 acres down there. Webber, you need to bring him back. The Premier hasn't said Simon Lau in 6 months. He hasn't said one and only. For those of us who were holding our breath and thinking that there would be some development, the gentleman said he has done everything he could do, and he was about to throw his hand up in December. That's 2 months to go. Webber, you have to bring him back in so he could report, since the Premier won't. Cleon, it's the economy, stupid.
It's a very interesting question, Steve, because, you know, at the end of the day, going into now a local election, and I always tell people, elections give the citizens the opportunity to become a teacher. And so you get to evaluate, you get to make your assessment, you get to take out your pens, and you get to decide your future. What is this going to be? You make your assessment, whether you're going to give a passing grade or a failing grade. That is your opportunity. And so when we look at the state of the economy of Nevis and the fact that nothing it's just stagnant, and it has been stagnant even before COVID. So COVID is not really an excuse. There has been no major development, no driver, no new revenue being created. I remember, Steve, in 2020, during the first sitting when I made my debut in Parliament, I said to the government, I advised them that COVID, the impact of COVID would
Hold your thought. We've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Okay, I think we've lost that caller. Call back in, please.
So the impact of COVID will be twofold. Yes, you have the health concerns, but at the same time, you have to look at the effect on your economy. And so if you're going to put a health task force in place to deal with the ramification from a health perspective, then you have to be intelligent and wise enough to know simultaneously you have to put an economic task force in place. Every other country was doing that except Nevis. And I made that contribution in the Parliament, and I said, listen, the economy has to be the focus, because if you don't focus on the economy, what you would have, you are going to cripple and kill Nevis. And that is precisely what happened. Rather than taking the advice, so what it was, we saw that the Honorable Premier subsequently appointed a community advisor. And just that very act alone, I have to tell people that this government, this leader is not serious about development. He's not serious about serious issues affecting people. Issues to plans to rejuvenate the economy. It's all throughout the entire 5 years. It's all politicking, and that's what it is. And our people cannot continue to survive from this. It's killing us. We need meaningful and serious and dedicated leadership. The political gimmicks and the games, it's time for them to cease. We need good governance.
Oh,
We have
caller
a
is
caller.
back.
Good
Welcome,
evening,
caller.
caller.
Mr. Manners, I promise I won't disturb you guys anymore.
No,
for this.
nobody disturbs this program. You have something to add to the discussion.
I have a suggestion for the Honorable Cleon Stapleton. On your trip to Taiwan, please, even if it's somebody you sit down next to on the plane, find somebody who would like to come here and do a call center. We have a building over in Brown Hill. If I'm not mistaken, that's filled with equipment. I don't think it's good anymore, to be quite frank with you, because they've been sitting there for a couple of years now. But I did hear the Prime Minister said the equipment is still there. And the Taiwanese are one of the leading countries that have been very much involved in technology and the call center business. We have a lot of young people coming out of school, and we're talking about the economy, and there are no jobs for them.
Yes.
We need to get that call center going again. So perhaps you can talk to the Taiwanese and see if they'd like to come and take a look at that, Honorable Cleon, and see what we can do with it. My goodness, every time I go to the Brown Hill Health Center and I see that, I don't know if you can recall my role in the startup of that call center when they got started there back in, I think it was 2008. The thing is, though, it's a dead piece of business sitting there that's ripe for development that we can easily get things done with. I'm not sure if anybody has ever actively thought that. But you've got American Airlines who have a call center in Barbados. I don't know how many people know that. That call center at one point employed about 250, 300 people over there. It's sitting there, it's rotting out. It's literally rotting out. We need some help over there. And I think that the Taiwanese or Taiwan could be one of the places that can be looked after and sought after to get that type of business going. Have a good evening. I keep listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cessa, and thank you for your suggestion. I would definitely try my best.
Yeah, don't be like the leader who says that diplomacy isn't about bringing back anything. We've got 2.5 minutes. I give that to you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Well, it was a pleasure being here, and I just wish to thank everyone for all of their support and for, all of the words of encouragement. I wish to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for giving myself as well as my party the opportunity to represent the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in Taiwan. And, I'm looking forward to the trip. I just want to thank everyone for their participation, thank all the callers, and I just want to encourage Nevians to be able to make your assessment and look at the performance, look at the track record of the CCM-led administration, and just please give the Nevis Reformation Party the opportunity to be able to serve you and to bring development to Nevis. It is something that is needed, and we do have the plans, we have the blueprint, and we are ready, Steve, to serve the good people of Nevis.
Well, it sounds that way to me. Ready to hit the ground running. All we've been getting is more of the same. Empty rhetoric. Change must come.
Yes.
The key word from James Carville and from Bill Clinton, 1992. No matter what they come and tell you, one of their strong supporters told us 2 weeks ago that all they're seeing is walls, walls, and more walls. Nevis demands more of that. It's the economy. Stupid. That's what this election will be about. We're at the top of the hour. Cleon, it's always a pleasure to sit across from you.
Thank you, Steve.
Always a pleasure. We'll be back next week with another leader of the Nevis Reformation Party. The leader in thought and deed. The Nevis Reformation Party, Nevis's greatest. Good night.
Good night.
Your voice, your voice, your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.